Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome to our coffee times to discuss horror. So you might have noticed that I did not upload a video on what I watched in August, and the reason is that I didn't really watch much. I was mostly just working and on holidays, and I didn't really watch many movies or anything. So I decided to skip it and combine it with the month of September so that I would have a lot more to talk to you guys about. So in today's video, I'm gonna let you know the things that I watched in August and September.
It's coffee time.
Let's start, shall we? So as always, I go through my Letterboxd and I make a list of everything that I have watched. So the first thing that I watched in August was Horizon Line on Amazon Prime, and this was kind of your standard thriller. We have two strangers that find themselves on a small plane trying to make it on time to a wedding when the pilot suffers a heart attack. So now they are kind of flying this tiny plane in this tropical island trying to survive. So don't expect too much from this one. It's kind of, you know, those typical thrillers that just air on TV sometimes. So not much to it, but you know, for a fun watch it was alright. Then I watched Cleveland Abduction because this is a true crime story that was filmed. I believe the movie is from 2015 and I had never seen it before. And it is about this girl that is being kidnapped by one of the neighbors, and she's kept on the basement together with other girls that he would later kidnap as well. And it just tells the story of what happened. It is truly horrifying to think that these things happen. I think this movie might be only for people that like true crime, because it does get kind of disturbing and uncomfortable at times, which I guess, you know, is part of the reason why you would do a movie like this, is to portray how horrifying the situation was. But yeah, I feel like, you know, if you don't like true crime at all, or this type of, you know, scenarios make you uncomfortable, this might not be the movie for you. Then I have a couple of rewatches, because with our unlimited cinema tickets we were invited to go to the beach in August to have a special screening of Jurassic Park, like at the beach, and we got like free snacks, and they had put like this huge blanket on the floor for everybody to watch the movie, and they waited until it was like dark outside to play the movie, so we were all like at the beach enjoying Jurassic Park, enjoying the free snacks. So it was a lot of fun, and obviously I still love it. And then another rewatch is the Rocky Horror Picture Show that they decided to bring back to the cinema, and every time I see it come back, if I can make it, you know, I'm gonna be there in that room to sing all the songs. This one I went by myself. My partner doesn't really like musicals. I tried with Rocky Horror, but he just didn't like it, and it's okay. It's just something that I really enjoy, so I went to watch this one and I had a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things of all times. This movie is just great. Then I watched Apparitions, which is a movie about a woman trying to figure out what happened to her parents and trying to kind of remember her childhood, and she decides to go back to her childhood home for that. Now, this movie is very forgettable. If you ask me specifics about this movie, I don't remember much. It's one of those horror movies that you watch it one time, it was nothing special, and probably will never rewatch it. But it was one of those horror movies that I have not seen yet, so I decided to give it a chance. A lot of times I find it hard to find new horror movies that I have not seen, so a lot of the ones that I watch are movies that didn't catch my attention the first time around, or lower budget movies, and sometimes they're just not great. Then when I was in Spain, my dad wanted to watch a movie and I said okay, and he chose Stuber, which was playing on television, and I watched it, and you know what, it was fun. I think this one is just meant to be a good time, and that is what it was. It's basically this cop that is recovering from eye surgery, so he really cannot say shit at the moment, but there is a lead on a case he has been working on for a long time, and he refuses to let it go, so he gets an Uber even though he's blind, and he tries to get, you know, to the bad guys to catch them, and it is the whole ordeal of this guy in the Uber going from location to location, getting involved in shoots and things like that. It was just a lot of fun. I mean, that's probably what this movie is all about. It's an action movie and it was fun. And then my dad wanted to watch another movie and I say, okay. And he chose one that was not good. But that is okay. And it was called Fatal Fiancé. And it's one of those mystery thrillers that is just so bad. Like, the acting is not great, but then also the plot is super predictable and it has nothing really original. So all in all, it was one of those movies that you just watch it just because, you know, it's there on the television, but it's not great and you're not gonna take anything from the film. You're gonna forget about it the next day. It's about this woman that is about to marry, and the day before she marries, the crazy ex-girlfriend from her fiance comes and kidnaps her and starts to warn her that there's something wrong with her fiance and she should not marry and she should be careful. So the question is this ex delusional? Is she saying the truth? Who knows? You know, this kind of spiel. But like I said, not really worth anyone's time. Then I watched Nope. As soon as I came back, I landed back in the Netherlands, and that same afternoon I went to the cinema to watch Nope. And I really enjoyed it. Not as much as I enjoyed the other Jordan Peele films, but I still thought it was a really good time. It is a movie that I would rewatch. And yeah, I have a full review, a spoiler-free review on this one if you want to check it out. I think by this point you've heard 3,000 things already about this movie, so there is not too much for me to say. But if you have not watched it yet, I still feel like it's worth your time. Just don't expect it to be really similar to Get Out or Us, because I feel like from the three of them, even though there are so common themes, I feel like it's the one that is the least similar. And then in preparation for a new release, we watched Orphan because my partner said he had forgotten a lot about it, and I said, okay, let's rewatch it. It's also good for me to give it a rewatch before I go into a sequel or a prequel. So we rewatched it and I still love it so much. I feel like all the acting, you know, all the characters in this first movie were absolutely fantastic, and I still love it a lot. And then we moved to September when I watched Orphan First Kill, the prequel. Also have a video on this, spoiler free, and even though I didn't love it as much as I loved the first one, I was kind of, you know, happy to see Esther back because I've always loved that character, which I feel like is why a lot of people were excited about the movie, to see her again. And I love Julia Stiles in this movie as well, which I love, you know, the dynamic between her and Esther. So the only thing is that there was not really much tension, or there was a big plot twist that I see not coming, but obviously a lot of the movie you already knew it was going to happen, because if you've seen part one, you already get spoiled for the prequel. But it was still a lot of fun, and I would also rewatch this one. Then I went to see a movie that was a surprise for me. I did not expect to love this movie as much as I did, and that is Bodies, 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 which is a horror comedy from A24. And again, not a huge fan of horror comedies. Absolutely loved this one, and the way that they were making fun of, you know, the new generations, the relationships with technology, social media, and all of those things. I genuinely laughed a lot throughout the movie, and it is a humor that is not gonna be for everybody. It's really a satire, and is about a group of friends that are in-house in the middle of a storm, and they decide to play the game of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And it is a kind of like a mafia game in which somebody gets killed and everybody has to figure out who killed this guy or girl. And the problem is that they realize that people are starting to die for real, and it's not a game anymore. So this one, I also did not see that ending coming, and it was hilarious. And yeah, honestly, one of my favorite horror comedies that I have watched in the last years, for sure. After that, I was scrolling through Netflix and I found a documentary about cats. And as a crazy cat lady, I had to watch it, and that is Inside the Mind of a Cat. I feel like this one, if you love cats, you're gonna enjoy it. If not, then don't waste your time. Because these type of documentaries are obviously made for people that love cats and want to see cats and hear about cats. So yeah, if you are like me and love them, you're gonna enjoy this. Then I decided to watch a movie I had on my radar for some time. I was feeling a little bit down, and when I'm feeling a little bit down, maybe it's torture, but I like to watch sad movies because it kind of helps me deal. And I decided to watch a movie on Netflix called Irreplaceable You, which based on the plot, I thought it was gonna absolutely break me and destroy me. This is a couple that have known each other since they were 8 years old, and they ended up, you know, dating and getting together and marrying, and now they're trying to have a kid. They're trying to get pregnant, and the wife gets excited because she thinks that you know, the nausea and everything that she's feeling means that she's actually finally pregnant. So they go to the doctor only to find out that she actually has cancer and that she's dying. So talk about depressing. And I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was not as strong as I expected. I couldn't emotionally connect to the characters as much as I wanted. Yeah, and it is obviously a sad story in which you already know by the beginning of the movie that this woman is not gonna make it. But yeah, if you like this type of movies, you know, give it a go. Then I rewatched Scream 2 because I was invited to a live stream on Instagram to talk about the movie and to make some, you know, live quiz and things like that. So I decided to rewatch the movie, take some notes, even though I had recently rewatched it at the beginning of the year before the new one came out. But I decided, why not? Let's just give it another watch and still enjoy it. And then, you guys, I finally have watched Interstellar. I finally have watched it. I saw that they were bringing it back to the cinema, and I thought to myself, what better opportunity for me to watch this movie than seeing it on the big screen. Now, we do have a big television. Our television is 72 inches, but it's not the same as going to the cinema and getting the full experience. So I decided to go, and I already knew it was gonna be kind of a long and sad movie. That's what I kind of expected from it. And honestly, this movie is just so well put together. It is so effective, and it's just so cool to see. I think it's one of the best sci-fi movies that I have seen in years. And it is basically a story in which humanity have reached the point basically of no return. We don't have many crops left, we don't have many resources left, and humanity is at the edge of extinction. And so there is a group of people that are still trying to find a solution to save the human race. That's all I'm gonna say. But even though I saw a couple of things coming and others I did not expect, I feel like this is a movie that everybody has to see and reflect a little bit about life. It can get quite intense because it does deal with life and death and decisions that you make and the ones that you love. But, you know, it is an amazing movie. Then I watched Confessions of Felix. The only reason why I watched this is because I had to translate this movie from German into Spanish. So obviously I had to watch this movie 3 or 4 times. So not too much for me to tell you about this. It's not the typical movie that I would watch. It is about this guy that is kind of like a fraudster. He likes to trick people to get their money and stuff like that, and it was a kind of intricate story. It was fun. I really enjoyed the humor in the movie. Yeah, so if you like this type of films, it's also based in Paris in 1900, so if this is kind of your jam, give it a watch. And then, my friends, I finally got my partner to watch American Psycho. So he had never seen this movie, he knew about the memes, and I was like, you need to watch it. And now that I have the Blu-ray, I'm like, we're gonna watch it. You're gonna see this movie. And it's really interesting to see his reactions to the film because I have not watched it in a long time. I actually saw this movie in the cinema. So imagine how this was an impact for me because I was quite young. And it was really interesting to see my partner react to the movie now. And he was a little bit confused about Patrick Bateman's behavior. And I have forgotten about the whole thing with the business cards. Cracks me up. It was hilarious. So I think this is a movie that is definitely not for everybody because of the tone that it has, but a must watch for any horror fan. I feel like it might not be for you, but I feel like you must have watched it at least once. It's about this investment broker that basically is also a psychopath, and he's trying to, you know, balance out his life of being a psychopath and, you know, keeping his job. And he just kills people. He just cannot really control himself, and the situations are, you know, borderline funny, hilarious, but at the same time he's committing like cruel crimes, and I just love the balance so much, and I cannot see anybody else playing this character, even though originally they didn't give the role to Christian Bale. They wanted somebody else. They wanted somebody that had a bigger name in the industry, and I'm really glad that the movie ended up going back to him, because I just could not imagine anybody else in this role. And then we did another double feature in the cinema. We went to watch Don't Worry Darling, which I also have a review on, and I really enjoyed it. This is about this idyllic small town in the 50s, where, you know, it's all like white houses, picket fence, and the wives that kiss their husbands goodbye, and, you know, take care of cleaning the house and cooking, and they meet the other moms by the pool, and it's all very kind of perfect, kind of like the Stepford Wives. And then Alice, one of the girls that lives in this town, starts to consider what is actually this place. She starts to ask the questions that she's not supposed to ask, and she's gonna get in trouble with the leader of this town. And, you know, I really loved the first two acts. I thought they were fantastic, but the third act didn't work as well for me. But I still recommend you guys to check it out. And after Don't Worry Darling, we went straight to the next movie, which was Smile. I was really excited about this one because by the trailer you might think this is your typical jump scare movie, you know, about a curse, kind of like the Ring thing, that once you are in contact with this, then basically you carry this curse and you're being hunted by something. But this movie was so much more. I expected it had something else to give me apart from what I had seen from the trailer, and boy oh boy, when we got to the third act, I was in love with it. I gotta praise this movie for everything they did right. There is a lot of jump scares, and honestly a lot of them happen right after they abruptly cut the soundtrack, which those I don't particularly enjoy, and there were many of those. But the movie like did such a good job at creating that creepy, eerie atmosphere. There were a lot of close-ups, and you were fearing that people were gonna smile, and you were at the edge of your seat. And the third act, that brought it home for me. The whole thing that happened towards the end, I absolutely loved it, and there was a lot of attention that like paid to detail in this movie. If you want to hear more about my thoughts, spoiler free, I also have a review of this one, but this is one that I would definitely rewatch, and one that, you know, I might add to my collection because it's been a pleasant surprise from 2022. Then I watched a bunch of things on Netflix. I watched Do Revenge, which is basically a modern movie, but it is poking fun at all of the tropes from the 90s comedies, which, you know, I grew up in the 90s, so I thought I would really enjoy it, and I did. It was fun. It's about two girls that could not be more different from each other, but they both are seeking for revenge, so they decide to help each other with that. Yeah, so if you're looking for a fun comedy, give it a chance. And then I watched a couple of documentaries. I watched Sins of Our Mother, which is about Lori, a woman that at some point in her life like joined some sort of religious group, let's say religious group, and she got really detached from her family and everybody around her, and one day two of her kids disappeared and everybody was looking for them. There was an investigation, and yeah, you can watch the documentary if you're not familiar with the story. I was fascinated to hear about it and how nobody put the pieces of the puzzle together earlier. It's kind of horrifying what people can do when they have certain beliefs and they truly believe that. So anyways, that one was a little bit horrifying to watch, but let's move to the next one. The next one is called I Killed My Dad, and it's about this teenage boy that literally called 911 and said, I have killed my dad. And so it kind of tells the story of how it happened, what really happened, the different theories. This is a case that is not really black or white. It's kind of like on a gray area, and it makes you question in which cases like murder is something that you would even understand. It was really interesting for me to listen to this one and listen to all the different sides of the story. And the last thing that I watched in September, but that I cannot tell you about it yet, is my best friend's Exorcism that I watched on the 30th of September, that came out on Prime, because I have a separate video just talking about this movie, so I will keep my thoughts on this one for that video. But I can tell you I did enjoy it, and I think that it did a good job adapting the book that it's based on, that I also have read. And then one thing that I could not find on Letterboxd to track was The Real Bling Ring, which is a documentary on Netflix about the real case of these you know, thieves, these basically teenagers, kids that were breaking into famous people's houses like Paris Hilton and Orlando Bloom and stealing all of their stuff. There is a movie about it that I did watch, and I was really curious to hear the story in this documentary, because one of the teenagers that was breaking into those houses and stealing the things is being interviewed this whole documentary. So it was really interesting for me to hear him talk about everything. As for TV shows, I finally got my partner to watch Supernatural with me, so we binged season 1, 2, and 3. He's absolutely addicted. We are currently watching season 4, and I could not be happier. It's always amazing when you love a show and then you show it to your partner and they also love it. It's amazing. And of course, we also catched up with Cobra Kai, which was again a lot of fun to watch. The new season is out, so we binged it. It's easy to binge. The episodes are not too long. So yeah, those are the only TV shows that we've been watching. One of the reasons why I have been watching less movies is because we are watching Supernatural nearly every night. So I watch a lot of Supernatural at the moment, so I don't have so much time to squeeze in movies, even though I try. But yeah, this is everything that I managed to watch in August and September. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what have you been watching the last couple of months. What is something that you would recommend me to watch? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!